Hi everyone, welcome back to Prestigious Women. I'm so excited. Today I'm joined by a wonderful lady, Mrs. Claire McPhail. She is a personal coach and she also runs a social media platform called ENspiring. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you, Pam.
So can you just tell us about the work that you do as a personal coach?
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be with you, with another beautiful, prestigious woman. Thank you for inviting me. So I call myself a passionate parenting guide. More so than a coach. I am a coach, that's exactly right. I call myself a guide as opposed to an expert or a specialist or a guru because I don't believe that any one person knows it all.
Yeah,
We are still all learning, going through the journey. I have had a lot of experience. I have met a lot of people. I've researched a lot. So I do know a lot, but especially when it comes to parenting and the challenges we face as women, nobody knows everything. So I like to call myself a guide.
yeah,
And then I do the personal coaching specifically for women like you do.
yeah.
In the personal space, not so much in the career space, more in the personal space.
Yeah.
So and I am ENspiring, which is EN-spiring.
Yes. How did you come up with that name, by the way?
So one of those crazy, just sort of in an obscure place, and I suddenly thought, I want to empower people.
Yeah.
I want to inspire them. I want to encourage them because a lot of us have actually got it all within us. We just need that encouragement.
Yeah.
So I just incorporated those three words and came up with ENspiring.
EN-spiring. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're speaking about anxiety. And I think the best way to kick off is to define what it is.
Okay. What it is, it's scary. It is an intense, incessant fear and worry about everyday things, about things that a lot of people just say get on with.
Yeah.
But it sits with you and you worry constantly about this thing that is going to happen or what is the outcome going to be, and it's just uncontrollable. It just overtakes you and you can't really control it.
Yeah. So I mean, Claire, I've experienced anxiety before, and my anxiety is usually triggered by major life changes, and then I deal with it and it goes away. But I know of people who are constantly anxious. Every minor or major incident spikes anxiety.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the two? The occasional anxious person versus the everyday anxious person. Yeah.
So, as we know, we are always going to be faced with anxiety triggering factors.
Yeah.
So our kids, they start a new school, they've got a speech to do, they've got a test to write, their first crush. Those are all normal anxiety-inducing behaviors and feelings. And yes, most of us can go, that is normal. There's going to be hurdles through life.
Yeah.
I have to deal with them because if I don't deal with them, I'm not going to get on with it.
Yeah.
You may have also been taught in growing up how to deal with them. You were given the space to know that it was okay to feel that way, and that in time you would deal with it. And what I like to say to my kids specifically is use that energy that comes from the anxiety, use it to your benefit. So if you are about to do a sports event and you're feeling a bit nervous, a bit anxious about it, use that energy to do your best, to garner that energy and do your best.
Yeah.
But then, and an extreme amount of people suffer this constant anxiety, this, that feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you can't control it.
Yeah.
And whether that is because your whole life you've been told to just get on with it, or society says that anxiety is not a big thing, you don't know, you don't have the tools to deal with it. And something you've just said now, trigger, you've picked up what triggers you. And it's important, if somebody has that constant recurring anxiety, to realize what their triggers are, to try and avoid those triggers, to try and lessen those triggers and stay away from them. We can't always stay away from them because they're natural life things. They're things that happen subconsciously around us.
Yeah.
But my other biggest thing is, and it's something that in the past was taboo, ask for help. There are so many people out there who can help us. if you need medication, go and get medication. Go and see a professional about it. You don't have to deal with it on your own. Just get to that stage where you can look at things and you can see the wood for the trees. You're not just seeing bushes for miles and you don't know which way you're going. So it's absolutely important to look and ask for help.
So I'm a big Oprah fan, and some time back I was listening to a podcast by Oprah, and she was saying, you know, we will always face challenges, and you know, anxiety does not come from the challenges. It's how we think about those challenges or how we respond to those challenges that causes us to be anxious. What do you have to say about that?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I absolutely do. Our response to things and how we view things is so key to our behavior and how we react. If you have been brought up your entire life pressured, you have to do your best, you have to be the best, you have to do this, you're going to always innately be anxious about things. So it's about changing that mindset. I think what you're referring to is your mindset. It's about changing that mindset and going, I've done this before, I've got through this before, I know I can get through this before. Look at somebody that you look up to, an Oprah, and go, what have you conquered? What have you got over? There must be ways to do it. And our minds are the most powerful organs. They truly are. They can be trained. They're like a muscle that can be trained and it can be exercised. And if you give it positivity and positive thoughts and tell yourself that you can do it, you will begin what we think is what we believe, and what we believe is what we become. I truly believe in that. So if you can get yourself into that, and I'm not sounding like I'm saying it's easy, it's not easy, and it takes a lot of repetition. It takes a lot of falling down and bringing yourself and getting yourself up again. But we can do it, and we absolutely, and there's people like you and I there to assist. And we need it. You've been through anxiety, I've been through anxiety.
We all need help.
We all need help, and it's about talking. I think for me, I'm a very big communicator, especially in the family space. I advocate for communication with your children, with your partner all the time.
So up until this point, we've spoken about how anxiety affects you as an individual, you know, personally. How does anxiety affect the people close to you, around you? You know, your parents, your spouse, your kids, etc.
So I want to just go back to ourselves as women.
Yes.
We are innately fixers. We want to make everything better. And that in itself exacerbates our own anxiety, because we're wanting to do everything for everybody. And you can't. You need to take a step back sometimes and realize, and in fact I posted a meme the other day about, if you can't clean the whole house, just clean a corner of a room. If you can't get into the shower, just wash your face. Use what you can, use the energy that you can to do something. Because we can't fix everybody, and we can't do everything and be everything for everybody else.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You cannot. And if your cup is empty, you are of no use to anybody else. So first and foremost, fill up your cup. And then you'll be able to help other people. I did an anxiety talk the other day with two other colleagues, and the one is Afro Daddy, and he advocates for men and anxiety, and it was very interesting to hear him talk about how extensive anxiety is in men. So we, I think, historically look at men as the beacon of the family. They're the patriarch, they're there to look after their family, and we forget that they too have an immense amount of stress on their shoulders. So yes, it absolutely affects men. And when it affects men very often retract. And they go within themselves, they don't tell us what's going on. We start to feel as their partner that we've done something wrong, then we try and overcompensate, and it just fuels this fire. So they suffer badly with it, and we need to be there more as a support structure. Gently try and say to them, you know, what's going on? Is it something we can work out? Is it something you need to speak to somebody else about? And you might get kicked back on that because it's such an averse thing. But yes, our husbands, our partners absolutely do. And then when it comes to kids, There was a study by a psychologist in America. She's been studying the behavior of children. I actually just want to get her name so that I don't misquote her.
Okay.
But she's been studying kids for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And now I can't find it, can I? Sorry about that. I'll have to let Pam know. But children can start experiencing anxiety from as young as 4 years old.
Sure.
Which is terrifying.
It is.
And
I have a 4-year-old.
Yeah, so now that resonates with you so closely.
Yeah.
And if we don't deal with it at that age, it just perpetuates, and it gets to the stage where they're suddenly at school, they can't function properly in the classroom, they can't function properly with their peers, and it gets to, I'm going to the extreme stages here, where it gets to the severe stage of not being able to function, of dropping out of school, etc. But it is scary. Our children do, and they pick up on us as well. So any anxiety we're experiencing, even if we think we're putting on a brave face, they are very perceptive creatures, and they pick up on our stress as well. So yes, and our parents experience things, because we are our parents' children until the end. No matter how old we are, no matter how successful and self-sufficient we are always their children. So they also pick up on that stress, and I think older parents these days are experiencing it more, because they're having to retire earlier. Money is a huge stress. Living in a big city is a huge stress. So yes, anxiety doesn't pick its race, it doesn't pick anything. And in fact, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group did a study. Mental health health disorders, anxiety is the top.
Sure.
And this translates into 1 in 5 people experiencing severe anxiety in their lives.
That's alarming.
Alarming. And women are twice as likely to experience anxiety.
So Claire, how do you help someone, a friend or family member who's experiencing anxiety, without finding yourself, dragging yourself into that anxiety as well?
That's a very good question, Pam, because especially when it's someone close to you, it's very easy to get dragged in, and then again you have no help. I think that the hardest thing is that you've got to deal with it very, very gently, because pride also comes into play, and this person doesn't want to admit that they've got a problem. And I say a problem because there are still stigmas attached to mental health. So I think it's about having a conversation with them. The most important thing for a person with anxiety or any other mental health disorder is acknowledgement. Acknowledging that they do have this problem, this issue, this disorder, this disablement, for lack of a better word, because it does, it hinders, cripples you, absolutely, cripples you. So they need to acknowledge it. So when it is someone close to you, it's about managing how you have that conversation. It's about, if you're not the right person because you're too close to it, possibly talking to somebody else who's slightly detached, but able to just say, Pam, you're looking like things are a bit heavy at the moment. Is there anything I can help with? Open that door slowly and gently for them, and research anxiety. The more we know about anxiety, the more equipped and armed we are to deal with it. So there is so much about it. It is a very, very broad, and there are different types of anxiety as well. There's not just one standard thing of anxiety. There are many different types of anxiety. So being armed to deal with it is the best way to help.
It's been great chatting to you. I've learned so much, Claire. So in closing, if there's someone out there watching who's currently feeling, anxious, what are your words of encouragement?
So I actually printed it out, and I know where this one is. I'm going to show you, because I truly believe this. Anxiety isn't you. It's something moving through you. It can leave out of the same door that it came in.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you all for tuning in. See you next time.
My mind is like a battlefield, and my heart is overcome by fear, and hope seems like a ship that's lost at sea.